Hello, I'm Abby Parra, and I am here with Miss Mayim Bialik from the Big Bang Theory. Mayim, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Now, I know that the title of your presentation is The Big Bang Theory, Making Science Fun and Funny. So could you tell us a little bit about what you're going to be doing in that presentation?
Yeah, the funny thing with titles is, you can never encapsulate an entire talk in one sentence. But the sort of main thing I like to do when I give talks, especially at universities, is to sort of be able to place myself for the audience in pop culture history, meaning there's acting I did when you guys were not even born yet, which actually is important to know for how my acting career turned out as an adult. So I talk a little bit about my acting history. I talk a little bit about my personal history. I'm actually a second-generation American, so my grandparents are immigrants. And so I talk a little bit about how I sort of got into the universe that way. And then I talk about the decision to leave acting, which I had been doing, and become a scientist. And then why I returned to the acting world and sort of what I still do as a scientist and how the Big Bang Theory sort of impacts on me in general and sort of what people see of me in public.
Right, absolutely. So I know that you were in Blossom.
Correct.
Like you said, before you were even born.
Yeah,
so
yes.
I can't say that I know too much about it, but I know that you did take a long break from that, and you are now a neurobiologist and neuroscientist?
So I have a degree. I took 12 years off from acting. I have an undergraduate degree in neuroscience and Hebrew and Jewish studies. And then I went on to a PhD in neuroscience. My field was psychoneuroendocrinology. And I taught for about 5 years after getting my degree and then returned to acting. And I've been on the Big Bang Theory for, gosh, I guess 4 years now.
Right, that's super exciting. Now, what was your motivation to do that, to go into that field?
I fell in love with science as a teenager. I had a biology tutor when I was on the set of Blossom. And I kind of go into more detail about that in the talk, but I basically fell in love with science, was not a natural science student, and really kind of had to work double time and triple time in high school and going into college to try and catch up because it's not something that came naturally to me. But I fell in love with the neuron and all things science.
So it must be really exciting that you're on The Big Bang Theory then. I know it revolves a lot around science.
As actors, we are paid to recite what's on a page, whether we think it's interesting or not. I am the only scientist on the show. I'm the only person who cares about science or comic books or any of the other things that the characters like. But it's neat. It's a neat aside that I actually get to still have a sort of foot in the science world, not necessarily just because of my Big Bang Theory work, but because of the notoriety that I have because of Big Bang Theory work. It allows me to do advocacy work. I work with Texas Instruments, and I've done work with DeVry University, trying to encourage young people, and in particular girls, to learn about STEM, which is science, technology, engineering, and math. So it's kind of sweet that the platform I have as an actress has allowed me to sort of open that up more as a person.
Right, and now I know that you are, I don't know if experienced is the right word, but you have a big stance on parenting. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Yeah,
well, I'm a mom. I have a 6 and a 9-year-old, and I had my first son in grad school and my second right after I took my doctoral hood. So I'm a mom like any other, except that I'm a public person, and I write for a website called Kveller. And I would write just about being a mom. This is before I was even sort of back in the public eye. I ended up writing a book about the style of parenting that is known as attachment parenting, but as a psychoneuroendocrinology student and thesis writer, I studied the hormones of human bonding, which are oxytocin and vasopressin, and that gave me a tremendous sense of appreciation for the hormones that governed my pregnancy, my birth, breastfeeding, and raising kids, and that's a lot of what this style of parenting is looking to sort of, capitalize on, namely evolution.
Right. Well, I guess the final question I'll ask you is just kind of, if you could tell me a little bit about your experience being on the show and how that has changed your life and maybe some pros that it's given you, maybe cons, I don't know.
In general, working as an employed actor is a very funny, bizarre, and blessed way to make your living. It's the one thing I've never been trained for, is the thing that people seem to want to pay me to do and give me as my full-time job. It's amazing to come into a show when it already has success, because a lot of the pressure's off me. And we have a cast of 7 people, so it's kind of like you know, it's having like a private school, small classroom of people all the time. So we have different friendships and different things that we interact about, and like that's the people that I see more than I see my own kids, you know. That's the people I spend most of my time with. It's a lovely set. We have a wonderful staff and crew, and we all get along really nicely, and that's really fun. It's a fun place to work. The cons are that I wasn't planning on being a public person for a living. That impacts my personal life. It impacts you know, what I can look like when I go out or when I get on an airplane. My children's lives are, you know, interrupted a lot, and they don't really understand why. So those are the things that happen, not just when you're a working actor, but when you're an actor who's on a show that has a lot of visibility. So I would never bite the hand that feeds me, or like, oh, poor me, I get recognized, you know. But I think it's something that people don't really think about, that like I'm a person inside. I wasn't made to be a public creature, you know. I'm a person who still feels like a really kind of normal person, and so it's kind of startling that people care that I have a pimple, and it's going to show when they post the picture on Facebook.
Well, you know, I mean, it's really
I do.
honorable.
I have one on my chin. I covered it up real good for you.
Me too.
Yay!
Well, it's really, really amazing that you recognize that, and that you're in the public, but you also gave time for your, you know, your education and your kids and everything.
You.
So thank you so much, Ms. Bialik, for being here with us today. And I'm going to speak for all of SLU and say that we're super excited to hear you speak later today.
Thanks.